Welcome to the great debate. I'm curious, we're talking about building or buying software. Who here has had an experience in their lifetime either being part of a rollout of new software or was forced upon you, maybe? Experience? Okay. In that, I'm just always curious if maybe we should split the room or if people should have their own opinions on build versus buy, but I'm curious who prefers to build software from scratch? Oh no, nobody? I don't know, this is gonna be really tough.
That's a very tough crowd.
Not for me.
Whatever.
All right, well, when we're talking about digitally transforming the way we do work, there's always that conversation of, hey, we're unique, we have unique needs. Is there a software out there that can match my unique needs, or am I gonna have to build something? So that's the basis of the great debate today, is build versus buy. I'm gonna have the debaters introduce themselves, but we're gonna have AJ representing the build side today, so building software from scratch to match the business process specifically. And we're having Nicholas represent the buy side, so buying something that's available and implementing it that way.
You go first. No, you go first. Oh. Well, good morning, everyone. I guess I get to go first because of the beauty before age instead of age before beauty. But today we're going to talk about building versus buying. I have a background as an engineer. I started out at Kiewit. Some of you may know that company. And around 2010, they went through a digital transformation. And one of the things that we did is we custom built a lot of tools. And I'll get into some of the reasons why here in a little bit. But since then, I've spent the last decade or so in construction technology consulting folks on whether or not to build or buy.
I'm Nicholas Johnson. I'm the chief evangelist at Kahua. And when AJ was using training wheels, I was deploying technology across the country. I was a design engineer who became an IT software manager who then left the design and construction world to go to work for a software company in the construction world. So for the last 20 years, I've worked with companies like Autodesk and Constructware, Trimble, and now, as I said, I'm at Kahua. I bring a lot of experience to this table, both as a practitioner and as a technologist and someone that represents the technology side of deployments for owners, contractors alike. So glad to be with you folks today.
And I do think we should give AJ a little support. So even if you have a preference for buy, let's give him a little extra support when he talks. Yes.
Not too much. Not too much. That's enough. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you guys like something you hear, feel free to hoot, holler, give a little wahoo. If you hear something you don't like, you can give thumbs down. We have heard booing in the past as well, so feel free to boo if you hear something you don't like. My name is Cari Stieglitz. I'm with Kaivolve. We implement technology as part of process improvement initiatives. So we like to work with folks, learning about how they do work, defining that, and then the point comes where you have to put that process into technology because we're living in a world of digital now. So we work with Kahua. I'm a little biased. That'll come out a little bit, but don't judge me. You can boo me too. It'll work. But today we're going to start the great debate, and we do encourage audience participation. So, gentlemen?
I'd like to tell you all why it is necessary, essential, and just wise to buy your project management software off the shelf. COTS, we refer to it as commercial off the shelf. And there's really several reasons why this makes perfect sense. It will be hard to argue after this, but the first reason is it's simply that off the shelf means it's ready now. You don't have to build it from scratch. You don't have to spend years developing, testing, procuring components for your software. You just go and pick the one that works for you and for your industry. It's ready, and you will do this at a much lower cost than if you try to build it. Much, much lower. Second, it will not require research on your part. You will not have to make huge investments in infrastructure, in personnel. You'll be able, again, to take the resources you have today and use them to do the things you do today, which is not to create software. That is not the core of your business. It will allow you, by buying commercial off the shelf, it will allow you to stick to the core of your business, the things that you do know how to do well and that you do well. And buying off the shelf, you will obtain immediately industry best practices. The software that you buy will come with years of experience from not just the provider that offers the software, but from the many customers that they've had that have given input into that software after its initial release. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with your initial release, and you'll be the only ones in the mirror to look at if it doesn't work the way you really thought it would. A third reason is that it's built by software professionals. Okay, why does that matter? Because it's not all that easy to make an intuitive product that's really easy to use. Software professionals spend hours, countless hours, tweaking the way that you envision the software and you interact with it. That's something they know how to do. That is not, again, part of a construction entity's everyday life. It's not something you think about. Whether you're an owner or a contractor or a specialty contractor, you don't think about where the buttons should go. If you buy off the shelf, your product will come ready with training materials and helpful tools that allow you to get started and make progress right away, to begin to immediately realize your return on investment. Your product will come with a help desk. If you try to create software yourself, you're also going to have to create those training materials. You're going to have to spin up a help desk and hire people to do that. And then finally, it's scalable. The companies that specialize in this have the infrastructure to continue to grow, to continue to add product and also just capability and capacity. Again, something you wouldn't think about as you're starting to meet one need in your company or a few needs in your company. You're not going to think about those things about what's this going to look like in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. This off-the-shelf product will be road tested and will be influenced by an industry that has done well for a long time. Those are the reasons why it only makes sense to buy it off the shelf. Thank you.
Good points. I just saw AJ listening, and he's like, talk.
Yeah, it's funny. Everything he just said there was wrong. But so again, my name's AJ. I know Nicholas liked to name drop over here. The only thing he didn't say was his dad was the principal or something like that. But I mean, I cut my teeth at Kiewit and then went and did it at Google. So it's not like I've never done this before. Over a dozen years doing it really from day one. And we tried to buy off the shelf. That's why we had to build ourselves. We were sold a bill of goods by a company that said, hey, you can manage your projects using this software. And every single time we ran into a problem, we had to custom build a new application to fix that. It had no processes. It didn't even know what a change order or a back charge was. Like, what are we supposed to do construction if we don't have a change order? Building your own software allows you to keep your distinct edge, like your processes that make you a successful contractor, that got you to 125 years in business. It also allows you to be nimble. You can change quickly if the requirements change as people start thinking up new ideas or as technology is changing, and we were adding on the go. In fact, we were adding on the go so well that by the time we hit our first release, we had 3 new products in the queue ready for the next phase to do more great stuff for our employees. Because what good is going and buying something off the shelf if it doesn't do it the way we've always done it? Like, that's the whole point, is we want to do it our way.
You always did it that way. Those might be the most dangerous words in the construction industry. We always did it that way.
Hey, there's a reason that they're successful. They did it that way, and it led to that many years of success. And so we wanted to keep that edge, and we had resources. We had the people available. We had the budget available, so we went out and built it ourselves.
125 years, huh? So did you guys all come to work in your horse and buggy?
Not
That's the way you always did it.
Whatever. So, Nicholas, despite his interruptions here, who here again has implemented software? I saw a few hands earlier. How long does it take? Like forever, right? Good old squints, forever it takes to implement software.
What did you buy?
It's never on time, never on time. Construction gets a bad rap, right? There's that meme that floats around on social media. There's a little dinghy, and it says original contract, and the yacht behind it says, or no, the dinghy says change order. No, that's right. I had it right the first time.
See,
I don't even
get
the meme anymore. The dinghy says original contract. The yacht says change order on the back, right? Has anybody seen that meme? Like, it floats around. This one-size-fits-all mentality is just a bunch of yacht change orders that these technology companies are trying to get you to implement. And it never works the same. Like, we never even did a change order on one project the same way, let alone trying to simplify that across the whole thing.
Maybe that's where the meme comes from.
Wherever it comes from. Trying to ask a vendor for a new feature because it doesn't quite do what you want it to do is like waiting in line at the DMV. Like, it's just not worth it.
No, I have not had to wait in line at the DMV recently, but I do remember disliking it immensely. AJ, you actually started out by saying everything Nicholas said was wrong. Can you tell us some more about that, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, he sat there and told you that commercial off the shelf is ready to go. But no, it's not. Like, Nicholas, what size hat do you wear?
Big.
Yeah, not one size fits all, right? Like, it doesn't work that way.
If it's a sock cap, it's one size fits all.
Even those, like the stretch fits, I can't figure out if I'm a large or an extra large, and they never fit the same way, and it's always tight, and I get a headache.
What size do you wear? Pea head?
Whatever. That right there is
Got
what I
it.
mean.
Can I please respond to
Yes,
this?
please.
This punk thinks that one bad implementation sets the standard for the industry. You know, AJ, you're an athlete, right? I think you're like a baseball player that strikes out and then stares at the bat. What's wrong with this thing? Maybe you ought to look in the mirror at what was wrong with that implementation. You didn't mention, by the way, that it is hard to create user-friendly software. You know, you are an engineer, you worked for a great company, I'm sure you made great products, you made great facilities and utilities, and you knew where to place a pump, and your company knew where to place a door and how it should swing for egress, but you don't necessarily know where the right place to put an action button is on a piece of software. You don't know the difference between an enter and a return.
Wait, what is the difference between enter and return?
My point exactly, AJ.
Why two different names for the same button?
A return is from a typewriter because you would hit that bar and it would return the inkwell to the other side of the typewriter. An enter makes an action happen. It enters data into the software. You've made my point exactly. You don't know what you're doing when it comes to these things. And another thing.
Doesn't require.
Another thing, AJ, you mentioned that, you know, you can continually tweak your software. Well, that sounds like the never-ending changes you were talking about. That sounds like you're never going to get deployed, that you will continually be retraining your people on the mistakes you made in the first version of your software, that you'll have to notify thousands of users over and over again. You know, it just doesn't seem to make sense to me. And you go on about these unique business processes that your company had. You know, the notion of trade secrets, I think, is a little overrated. Okay, maybe there's a secret sauce. Your company does a few things that are different, but document control is document control. Budgets are budgets. Daily reports are daily reports. These things are standard processes that can be repeatable, and if you will standardize on them, if you will adopt an industry standard, you'll save a lot of money.
There is
You'll be much more
nothing
efficient.
standard about how these people work.
And just one more thing there, Junior. most software providers today, out of the box, allow you to do those kind of tweaks in what they would refer to as configuration. So, there.
Can I respond now? Like I
who's
said,
running this debate anyway? Go
right.
ahead, AJ.
There's nothing standard. Nothing standard about what we do. Sure, sharing requirements would be nice. Sharing resources across projects would be nice, but that would require streamlining the way 8 different verticals build construction. What's the trade-off for that?
Well, you can meet those needs if you build those unique pieces to fill the gaps. If you align what your software does with what your company does, rather than, have your company align with the software, you want your software to align with your company.
But if you work to build and conform those specific tweaks to your company, that takes a lot of updates, and those updates take time. Then you're trying to unify where those action buttons are, and you're trying to unify how people work. The screens get clunky and the data gets siloed. That gets harder.
Wait, AJ, you're supposed to be representing Build, right?
Yeah, but AJ, if you do it yourself, it's going to be closer to your business processes, and it's going to be a lot easier to adapt if it's the way that your company is used to working. You're going to get a much better return on investment because people will actually use it if you build it yourself.
No, Nicholas, you're supposed to be representing.
Listen here, Jolly Red Giant. The right way to do it is to buy it off the shelf. It's faster, it's quicker, and you get the best bang for your buck.
Sit down, Junior. No, young man. The right thing to do is to build it yourself. You will satisfy your requirements exactly. You can easily adapt, and it will be special to your company and the way you do business.
You guys can't just switch sides. I'm just saying you can't. Look, you know what?
That's how debates work.
No, that's not how debates work. Since you guys can't seem to do a good job
Make
of this,
software great again.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about it. So, obviously that is the case, right? So not everything you do is standardized. In working with many different clients across industries, I would love to say that they do work the same way. That's just not true. So there is different ways that companies do work, and those 20% of the way that they're different is very special to them. And so there's never been a situation where we've actually just been able to hand over an off-the-shelf software and let them use that. So you really do need the best of both worlds. So I like to say, why not both? Why not both? So you want to have that balance of being able to actually do a quick out-of-the-box implementation for those processes that do align, and then you want that long-term configurability for when you have processes that are unique, you want the software. And that actually is the best of both worlds, and it helps people to actually start using the software moving forward.
Cari, before you move on, I want to just, if I can, I'm going to ask our team because we'll be available to talk about this afterwards. So I'm going to ask, Lee, would you stand up? And Patricia, would you stand up and just be recognized so people can find you afterwards? But more than anything else, I want to ask, to prove a point that not one size fits all, I'm going to ask Todd and Lou, would you stand up in the back so people can find you afterwards? Please take a look. This one size does not fit all. Thank you, gentlemen. You've made our point.
They didn't know that. Nicholas is like, I'm going to need you guys to sit next to each other. Actually, so something that's, has anybody heard of low code or platform as a service? I mean, you have it. It's your iPhone, right? So there's platform and a service. The iPhone has a foundation which Apple creates. They have their own apps. And then you also have the ability to create apps that sit on top of that. So you actually know low-code software. You know that concept of platform as a service or PaaS, and being able to build custom apps that are unique to your needs. I actually went the other day to try to find a task management software. on my iPhone, there was 6 different highly rated ones, and you got to see, okay, which one is the way I want to work, right? So the concept of building an app on a platform as a service is something that we're very familiar with. And Gartner actually estimates that over 70% of software implementations will be on low-code by the end of this year. So it's already here. I don't know, has anybody tried implementing software like recently in the last 6 months? It's different, right? With Kahua, we actually were able to, there was a big tunneling project that's going under the San Francisco district, and they really knew their business process, and we were able to stand them up within 60 days. Sometimes, though, you have to actually, does anybody have a really great policies and procedures manual that's actually used? No, yeah. If anybody raised their hand, I'd be like, I want to talk to you later, find out what special sauce you have. But the ability to be flexible is really important. So being able to walk, crawl, run, getting it going where you have that. Also, with the low-code software, there's no development bottleneck.
Can I speak to this for a second?
Yes.
I've shared this story with a couple people in the audience already. Our founders founded a company called Constructware in the 90s. It was the first internet-based project management tool, which at the time was a revolutionary idea. And love to chat with you more about that. But when we grew that company up, sold it to Autodesk, the founders a few years later started Kahua with the idea of solving a couple problems that they had not been able to. And this was one of them. Software as a service is created by the software vendor and only by the software vendor. So traditionally, you have to go to the company, whether it's Autodesk or Constructware or whoever. They are the only ones that can add, customize, tweak, change the software. Fix it, break it, you have to go to them. When we sold our little company, Constructware, that was just 10 years old and just had a few hundred customers, our wish list of improvements that clients had given us and we had agreed would be good for the customer base, our wish list of things that we wanted to do and agreed we'd put them on the list, that list was 2,200 items long because we were the only people that could modify the software. With platform as a service, again, it's like your iPhone. If there's not an app for it, it's really easy to create, and companies like Cari's can do that for you. We can do it also, but you don't have to wait on us. You can do it yourself. You can hire a partner to do it. So a lot of, we have completely eliminated this kind of bottleneck in development.
Yeah, definitely.
And just one other thing on that is, not only is that list 2,200 long, right? Like, depending on who you are, your name might not be very prioritized on that list, right?
Everybody's important, AJ.
Well,
Yes, but somebody is important at the bottom of the list.
somebody's important at the bottom, yeah. And so, like, to remove any sort of guesswork on what your priority is, maybe compared to other people that are paying that same vendor, you avoid it with platform as a service.
Yeah, and one thing that's actually unique about Kahua, they're one of the first PMIS to actually get FedRAMP certified and state RAMP certified. I was talking to somebody earlier about cybersecurity, but the concept of if you build it yourself, is it going to be secure? So it's hosted in a cloud, highly secure. They've thought of all of that for you. So being able to actually just accept that rigor around what they've built is another really great benefit of buying off the shelf.
Yeah, so one thing with that, who here had their information stolen in 2013 when Target got hacked? A couple of you? I know I did.
Probably all of us.
Almost all of us, yeah. Target got hacked through an HVAC subcontractor's system, not their own systems.
Yeah, so the lesson that we're learning here today, I'm just curious, is anybody now a fan of building your own software? Nobody still, okay. What about the people that said, I just want to buy pure off the shelf? Still have that perspective, or can we say, why not both? Why not both? All right. We will be in the booth outside. Ken's giving us the you're running out of time, eyeball. So we've had a really great time representing the great debate today. And if you guys want to share your own horror stories, we're over in the booth. Or if you have any questions, we'd love to answer those for you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.